Hey guys, how's it going? Master Cal here, and today I'm going to be doing the 5th video for my 2021 NFL offseason recap series for the Cincinnati Bengals. So the Bengals are the first team in this series that did not hire a new head coach, as Zach Taylor is back for a third season. This may be a year the Bengals might have a bit more pressure to win some games, however, and so if the Bengals have another abysmal season, they could decide that a coaching change is in order. So the priority of this season for the Bengals was to continue to shore up a perennially underwhelming defense, along with upgrading Joe Burrow's protection, especially given that serious injury that he suffered during last season at the hands of that ferocious Washington front seven. So, since the Bengals didn't have any coaching changes, we'll start with the free agents that they were able to retain. Safety/returner Brandon Wilson was re-signed to a 2-year deal worth $4.125 million with $1.125 million guaranteed. He's one of the better return guys in the league, and he's a nice depth piece at safety. Running back Samaje Perine was re-signed to a 2-year deal worth $3.3 million with $700,000 guaranteed. Past couple years, he's kind of bounced in between Miami and Cincinnati's active roster and practice squads. Punter Kevin Huber was re-signed to a 1-year deal worth $1.6375 million with $137.5 thousand guaranteed. Backup quarterback Brandon Allen was re-signed to a 1-year deal worth $1.5 million with $300,000 guaranteed. Defensive tackle Mike Daniels was re-signed to a 1-year deal worth $1.5 million with $200,000 guaranteed. He missed a lot of last year due to injuries, so back-to-back years he's been injured with the Bengals and the Lions. Long snapper Clark Harris was re-signed to a 1-year deal worth $1.2125 million with nothing guaranteed. Guard Quinton Spain was re-signed to a 1-year deal worth $1.1275 million with $137.5 thousand guaranteed. He was the Week 1 starter for the Buffalo Bills last year at left guard, but he wound up getting released a few weeks into the season. The Bengals signed with the practice squad before promoting him to the roster. Linebacker Jordan Evans was re-signed to a minimum salary contract with $100,000 guaranteed. Special teamer depth receiver Mike Thomas was re-signed to a 1-year deal worth $1.015 million with nothing guaranteed. Restricted free agent corner Tony Brown was brought back on a 1-year deal worth $920,000 with nothing guaranteed. And then exclusive rights free agents Jalen Davis and Amani Bledsoe were brought back on exclusive rights free agent tenders. The free agent additions, they signed former Saints edge rusher Trey Hendrickson to a 4-year deal worth $60 million, $16 million of it guaranteed. Hendrickson had a breakout season last year in which he was tied for second in the league in sacks with Aaron Donald behind TJ Watt. So great timing for him to cash in on a contract year, and he'll help boost the Bengals pass rush that underwhelmed last year. Slot cornerback Mike Hilton comes over from the division rival Steelers. He was signed to a 4-year deal worth $24 million, $6 million of it guaranteed. Former Cowboys corner Chidobe Awuzie was signed to a 3-year deal worth $21.75 million up to $22.5 million with $7.5 million of it guaranteed. Former Vikings tackle Riley Reiff was signed to a 1-year deal worth $7.5 million with $5.5 million guaranteed after Minnesota decided to release him. Defensive tackle Larry Ogunjobi also comes over from a division rival, this time the Browns. He was signed to a 1-year deal worth $6.2 million with $4.6 million guaranteed. Safety Ricardo Allen was signed to a 1-year deal worth $1.49 million with $400,000 guaranteed. He had been released by the Atlanta Falcons. Cornerback Eli Apple, former first-round pick who's bounced around the league in recent years, was signed to a 1-year deal worth $1.2 million with no guarantees. He was most recently with the Carolina Panthers, but was released just a few weeks into the season, and I think he was injured as well. Safety Kayvon Frazier, former Dolphin and Cowboy, was signed to a 1-year deal worth $990,000 with nothing guaranteed. Wide receiver Trent Taylor was signed to a 1-year deal worth $920,000, no guarantees, former 49er. Quarterback Eric Dungy was signed to a 1-year deal worth $660,000 with nothing guaranteed. And then a couple of waiver claims. The more notable one was Thaddeus Moss, who the son of Randy Moss and a teammate of Burrow's on that national championship LSU team. He missed all of last year due to injury in his first year in the league. And then also they added linebacker Joe Bachie from the Philadelphia Eagles. The Bengals cuts. Longtime franchise icon Geno Atkins was released. He played through an injury last year, and that definitely hampered his performance just 1 year after he made the Pro Bowl in 2019. The Bengals haven't ruled out a reunion, and the most recent report said that Atkins was expected to be cleared medically by July 1st, so maybe 2-3 weeks he can start looking for his next team. Another longtime Bengal, running back Gio Bernard, wound up getting released. He signed on with the Super Bowl winning Buccaneers. Starting right tackle Bobby Hart, who has been underwhelming in his 3 years there, signed on with the Buffalo Bills. B.J. Finney, who was acquired from Seattle as part of the Carlos Dunlap trade during last season, he wound up going over to the Steelers, who he was with originally before he went to the Seahawks, and then Javarius Lemon was waived from the left squad list. Their free agent departures: edge rusher Carl Lawson left for the New York Jets in free agency. Former first-round pick William Jackson signed with Washington. A.J. Green, yet another longtime Bengal and another face of the franchise, left for the Cardinals after a year where he looked washed following injuries in 2018 and 2019. Tight end special teamer Cethan Carter signed a 3-year deal with the Dolphins. Third safety Sean Williams also left for Arizona. Wide receiver returner Alex Erickson left for the Texans in free agency. Kicker Randy Bullock signed with the Lions. Cornerback Mackenzie Alexander went back to the Minnesota Vikings. Defensive tackle Christian Covington signed with the Chargers. Former top 10 pick John Ross, who's been a major disappointment for the Bengals, signed with the New York Giants. Defensive lineman Xavier Williams also signed with Arizona. And offensive lineman Alex Redmond signed with the New England Patriots. They have 3 unsigned free agents at the moment. Josh Bynes, who had a nice year for them. Margus Hunt, who was a former second-round pick by the Bengals, spent some time with the Colts and the Saints before coming back to Cincinnati during last season, and then also LaShawn Sims. The one notable trade that the Bengals did was they traded away quarterback Ryan Finley and a 7th-round pick away to the Houston Texans for a 6th-round pick. They were going to cut him, but Houston came in and decided to trade for him. Houston has since cut Finley, however, as Finley has struggled immensely in both 2019 and 2020. I mentioned this in the Texans video, but I would not be surprised to see the Texans re-signing Finley, especially if Deshaun Watson goes on the commissioner's exempt list. The Bengals draft picks with the 5th pick in the first round, they reunited Burrow with Jamar Chase, who was just incredible in 2019, and despite opting out of the 2020 season, there was no doubt that he was the best receiver in the class, and so they've already got that chemistry from their days at LSU, and we'll see how they do at the pro level. They wound up trading back in the 2nd round, and with the 14th pick in the 2nd round, they took tackle Jackson Carman. He's expected to play guard, however, from Clemson. With the 5th pick in the 3rd round, they took edge rusher Joseph Osai from Texas. With the 6th pick in the 4th round, they took edge rusher Cameron Sample. With the 17th pick in the 4th round, they took defensive tackle Tyler Shelvin. With the 34th pick in the 4th round, they took tackle Deontay Smith. With the 5th pick in the 5th round, they took kicker Evan McPherson, and he'll compete against Austin Seibert for the kicking role. With the 6th pick in the 6th round, they took center Trey Hill. With the 18th pick in the 6th round, they took running back Chris Evans. And with the 7th pick in the 7th round, they took edge rusher Wyatt Hubert. The Bengals have not signed any players to extensions as of yet. They have several notable players that are up for extensions, including Jesse Bates and Sam Hubbard. Those would be a couple of guys that I'd expect the Bengals to discuss new contracts with this offseason. Other than that, I can't really think of anybody off the top of my head that would be really due up for an extension. And then as far as injuries go, this just came out yesterday. guard Hakeem Adenaji, a 6th-round pick from 2020, who started 5 games last year, suffered a torn pec, and he could potentially miss the entire regular season. So with that, my thoughts on the Bengals offseason. I thought the Bengals did a pretty decent job. There was a big debate in the offseason about whether the Bengals should take Chase or tackle Penei Sewell, because it's either protection for Joe Burrow or weapons, and a lot of people thought that protection is important, and it definitely is important, but they elected to go with receiver and address offensive line later, and they did address the offensive line in free agency. They added some reinforcements to the secondary, which I think was really nice. They're still going to be trotting out a pretty young linebacking core. Added some reinforcements to the edge as well. It's going to be a completely new look defensive line, especially after the Dunlop and Atkins line of the 2010s. That's gone, or I should say that's done now, with Dunlop in Seattle and Atkins unsigned after being released. So we'll see. So the needs that I identified, I said their primary needs were guard. For guard, they re-signed Spain, and then they took Carmen. So I'd say that was addressed. Right tackle, and yes, with Riley Reif, he will be their starting right tackle this year. Beyond that, though, would Deontay Smith be ready to step into a starting role by year 2, or is that something else to look for again? Wide receiver, yes, definitely with Chase. Defensive end, absolutely with Trey Hendrickson and the draft picks. And then cornerback, yes, they also attacked that with Awuzie and Hilton. So overall, the Bengals did a pretty nice job of attacking their primary positions of need. For the secondary positions of need, I listed tight end. They added Thaddeus Moss, who he didn't really make much of an impact with Washington in camp, and then he got injured. So I guess we'll see what he does, being back with Burrow and whatnot. But CJ Uzomah is still the starting tight end. I said defensive tackle. Yes, that was addressed with Ogunjobi and Daniels and Shelvin. Linebacker, they have not addressed the linebacker position. They could still re-sign Josh Bynes, but again, it's still going to be a young, unproven linebacking core. And then long snapper and punter, they brought back Harris and they brought back Huber, so yes, those were addressed. So I'm going to give the Bengals a B- of an offseason. Now, given how strong their division is, the Steelers, the Browns, and the Ravens are all really good in their own way and definitely playoff contenders. I just don't really see a scenario where the Bengals aren't the last place team in their division, and if the Bengals do finish last in the division and they go 0-6 in their division games, the Bengals could decide that they need to change and they need to get rid of Taylor and move on from him. So the projected starters entering training camp for the Bengals. Obviously, Burrow will be a quarterback. A running back, you'll have Joe Mixon, who's hoping to come back after an injury-shortened season of his own. Jonah Williams, hoping to establish himself as the left tackle after the Bengals gave him a vote of confidence by passing on Sewell. The guard positions, there's probably going to be competitions there. You got Spain, you got Xavier Suafio, you got Carmen, obviously. So there's definitely different candidates to start there. At center, Trey Hopkins is going to be the starting center. Now, he did suffer a torn ACL during Week 17 of last season, and he may not be ready for Week 1. If not, then former first-round pick Billy Price, who the Bengals declined their fifth-year option on, would start in his stead. If Price has a pretty good camp, he could possibly maybe win a starting guard job, but I don't know. And then Reif will definitely start at right tackle. Wide receiver will be Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd, so a pretty good group there. And then Uzomah, assuming he's recovered from his Achilles injury, will start at tight end. On the defensive line, you'll have Hendrickson. You'll have DJ Reader, who's hoping to come back from his own also he was injured a lot of last year. So Bengals had a lot of their key players and big free agent signings from last year all injured. So we'll see how Reader does. I'll have Ogunjobi starting next to Reader, and then Sam Hubbard off the edge. Linebacker will be Jermaine Pratt, Logan Wilson, and Akeem Davis-Gaither. Cornerback, Trey Waynes, who was completely injured, missed all of last year. We'll see how he does in his first, first game as a Bengal and first full season, actual season. I'll have Awuzie as the number 2, and then Hilton will be in the slot. And then as far as safety goes, that'll still be Von Bell and Jesse Bates. So that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for the next off-season preview video.